Hello, I'm back. In the Sci-Fi Bandwagon video that was uploaded last week, I remarked that The Black Hole, released in 1979 as Disney's response to the success of Star Wars, had received a mixed reception. Now I may be slightly biased here due to nostalgia, as this was the first film I saw at the cinema, but I believe much of the criticism the film received is a little unfair. A lot of this could be due to the fact that, as the company's first PG-rated movie, The Black Hole confused a number of viewers who weren't expecting this kind of thing from the House of Mouse, especially as 1979 also saw their release of the more Disney-esque sci-fi movie The Spaceman and King Arthur. On the subject of confusion, there is one point I would like to clear up regarding exactly when the event of the black hole take place. Some sources, particularly the transcript entry on the website sublikescript.com, states the film is set in the year 2130. However, the actual date is not definitively stated and, having read the transcript, I believe this declaration is based on a misunderstanding of the first line of dialogue. This forms the start of Vincent's initial log entry, where he says 2130, day 547, a course correction will be made at 2200. Given that years on Earth never exceed 366 days in length, and taking into consideration the ending of the line, it is quite obvious, at least to me, that the 2130 referred to here is 2130 hours, i.e. 9:30 p.m. On a side note, the movie also doesn't state what time of the year the events depicted actually take place. I know the novelisation says the story starts on Christmas Eve, but these things aren't exactly considered official. Now that's out of the way, it's time to tackle the negative responses following the release. One of the main and potentially unfair criticisms directed towards the film is mentioned in Leslie Halliwell's review on page 48 of Halliwell's Screen Greats. This refers to the gloomy atmosphere depicted, which is stated to be barely acceptable. I personally think this gloominess actually helps set the correct tone, but maybe that's just me. Another issue mentioned in Halliwell's review is the inept characterization. I feel this is a bit harsh, especially in the case of Maximilian Schnell's masterful performance of the Captain Nemo-esque Hans Reinhardt, whose long period isolated from full human contact, coupled with his obsession to traverse the black hole and the guilt over his past actions, have clearly impaired his mental stability, leading his behaviour to become more erratic as the story unfolds. The Screen Greats review also remarks on the story, described in the entry as an ill-thought-out remake of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I feel the black hole story actually does a fairly good job of highlighting humanity's desire for exploration and scientific advancement, and the associated risks. Now, the 3-star review of the film, on page 47 of the Radio Times Guide to Science Fiction, describes the story as inspiring. Well, you can't always please everyone. On the upside, both reviews praise the special effects. Halliwell called them superb, while the Radio Times entry described them as stunning, and it's not hard to see why, especially if you know the story behind how they were achieved. I think I'd better save that for another video. I hope you enjoyed this look back at a sci-fi classic. What do you think? What memories and feelings do you have about the first film you saw at the cinema? Please feel free to like, share, comment and subscribe, and I'll be back soon.